Hi everyone, I'm really excited to introduce you to Megan, who's the founder of Orange PR and Marketing. So welcome to the Pep Talk, Megan. Great to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Amazing. So today we're going to be diving into and discussing the power and the pitfalls of influencer marketing specifically. And I know this is often a bit of a minefield for people. So I think it's it'd be quite an interesting topic to dive into. But I guess before we sort of get started, could you give us a little bit of background into the business, your role there, how it's sort of come about?
Of course. So I am the founder of Orange. We are a PR and marketing agency that specialises in media relations, influencer marketing and social media marketing across health and beauty, lifestyle and food and drink brands. So it started because I love PR. So I wanted to work with the brands. So I was freelancing and then kind of got really busy, loved the brands I was working in those particular sectors and wanted to kind of start a PR agency that does all those things but doesn't do it in kind of the traditional way where they're firing out the same email to every kind of different journalist. And we wanted to have a more bespoke approach for each of our clients. So it's very much not a one size fits all. It's tailored to each kind of client and to maximize those results. And I think also because everything is so different. So one beauty brand, a skincare brand can be completely different to a different skincare brand. They have completely different messaging, as you kind of know. And I think it's having that tailored approach, and every influencer that we're working with, it's not the same influencer that will work with every skincare brand because different brands will have different focuses. So yeah, just kind of tried to start something that's a bit more exciting as well, sort of not kind of doing it all the traditional way where it's the same approach.
Yeah, interesting. It's I think that's one of the nice things about agencies is that you get to work with a variety of different clients and briefs, and keeps it interesting.
It definitely does.
Yeah. And I'd love to kind of dive into how influencer marketing has evolved over the kind of last few years. What do you think are some of the most sort of important trends to watch or coming, that are likely to sort of come up in the space going forwards?
Definitely. So it's completely changed. So I actually got into PR because I used to do blogging, but it was when it wasn't like Instagram wasn't how you blogged. It was very much like on Blogger.
Yeah.
And you had your blog and you had the templates that you used to buy and whatnot and work with the brands, and always on a gifted basis. Like I was working with big beauty brands like NARS, for example, but it was just, you were just happy to get the free products, if anything. So I was doing blogging and it was going really well. And I went to a few different events, and I then was like, what do I want to do next? Like, what do I want my career to be? And I loved the idea of setting up the events. And I was like, just set up goodie bags. Like, what could be more fun as a job? So I just got into PR thinking that would just be my role every day. It isn't. PR is completely different, but influencer relations is something I really enjoy. And I then understood how much goes into planning influencer events and finding the influencers. And obviously it's completely different now. So whilst people still have blogs, sort of TikTok and Instagram are so much bigger, and so many brands are more kind of now focusing on the social media influencers. So video content, for example, has been a massive shift. So it's much more kind of going towards that. And it's fast moving. So it used to be very kind of polished ads, and you could tell from a mile off when an influencer was posting an ad, because it obviously goes through the brand for approval and everything like that, but it didn't feel as authentic. So I think now, particularly over the past couple of years, it's a much more authentic feel. So the idea now is almost so it doesn't look like it's an ad, it just looks like it's part of their feed, and it looks like it's a product they use themselves, which obviously you want to be working with the influencers who are using your products and who do love your products, but they obviously have to disclose it's an ad, which also didn't used to be a thing. So there's been a lot of developments there in terms of making it clear when it's an ad or if it's gifted or partnership. But I think authenticity has been a huge shift in it, because I think people used to just sort of post a swatch of an eyeshadow on their back of their hand, and that would be enough. And it didn't matter if they really used that product or not, because the brand simply just wanted like a link back, or they wanted a mention or a tag. And I think now people want that. Like, people look to influencers for their general opinions, and kind of the influence that they have comes from their opinions. So you almost get to know them. They become sort of your internet friends, don't they? And you know whether it's something they would or wouldn't use. So if an influencer who focuses on skincare or makeup is suddenly posting about sort of bikes or whatnot, like it loses that a little bit. So you kind of become familiar with those influencers. And I think from a point of view of how a brand chooses who to work with, it's very much looking at the wider picture. So it's all well and good someone having 1 million followers, but actually, are those followers the right followers? Are they engaged and whatnot? And I think the authenticity of influencers has been a huge shift, because it isn't now just about how many followers you've got anymore.
Yeah, really interesting. And I guess that kind of leads us quite nicely on to the next point around sort of ROI for influencer marketing. And I guess, as you pointed out, it's not necessarily about quantity, it's also about quality and getting in front of the right people. Are there specific metrics that you think are sort of most important when it comes to measuring the influence of influencer marketing?
I think ROI is a really hard one for influencer marketing, because obviously you can do your discount code and you can sort of say, for example, Meg 10 and they get 10% off. You can track that, and you can track how many, sort of with Instagram, with the swipe up links, you can track how many people are clicking through. There's TikTok shop and everything like that. That makes it a lot easier to track it. But it also, if it isn't that kind of product, or if it's a restaurant, for example, and how do you track that? That can be a bit harder. So then we look at things like, how many click-throughs did they get? How many like genuine, authentic engagement? Like, what was that actually like? Was it just a load of bots just saying, yeah, cool? Or was it sort of a lot of influencers are part of sort of, I can't think what they're called, but they're like a little network where they all post whatnot, and it's got the like for like and comment for comment, and you post in the group when it's on. So we then look at that. So is it the same 5-10 people commenting on every post? So then we're like, well, they're probably not going to go and buy. They're just doing it because they're then commenting on them. So it's having a bit of a look deeper into it. And I completely understand that from an influence point of view, it's because it makes the engagement look better, but actually it's not genuine engagement. So again, it comes back to that authenticity that we're looking for. So we always look at that. We measure the engagement, the likes, everything like that, but it's also, we always kind of encourage a link on a swipe up or whatnot as well, because it helps us. And when there is a discount code and it works and it isn't kind of cheapening anything, then that can work really nicely as well. But influencer marketing is one of those sort of harder to prove ones, but then the power of it can be huge.
Yeah, I guess it's about, well, that's exactly why you have an agency that works here, is because it's not straightforward to get right, and it can be, I guess, a bit of a minefield to find right influencers, right audience, get the messaging right. There's lots of variables involved,
and I think it can be really hard. I think there's a lot of brands, and we've spoken to so many, and they're like, well, we'll just do it ourselves. And obviously you absolutely can, but then we also have a lot that come to us and say, look, we tried to do it ourselves. We sort of found someone with 50,000 followers and we said, can we send you our product? And they just didn't get a response, or they said, oh, well, it costs X amount. And I think that's where it's massively changed as well. It's now a career for people. So these influencers aren't just going to kind of do it for free for a £50 gift. There needs to be a partnership, and that's where contracts and everything come into it as well, which is where the minefield then starts. But it's really important. It's kind of, they're doing it as their profession, you're doing it as your profession. That professional kind of relationship needs to be upheld there as well.
Yeah, interesting. It's it's a whole sort of other world that there's clearly a lot of complications involved, and it's not as straightforward as it looks like. And what do you think brands can do to sort of ensure that they are working with the right influencers and are creating that, or they're getting hold of that sort of authentic content that really resonates with their audience? Is there a sort of formula or a sort of set of ingredients that need to go into that sort of content?
I mean, I wish there was a formula, because it'd make our jobs a lot easier. But I think there is in the sense of the ingredients, and I think it's, who else are they working with? You can have a look at their previous ads. Is it kind of a conflict of interest? Is it going to work? How did their previous ads perform from what you can see? So you can see what the engagement and likes and everything were like on previous ones. Who are they working with? So what is their content like? Like, do the ads fit in line with your brand? So if you're a sustainable food and drink brand and they're posting a food and drink brand which isn't as sustainable, how does that fit in with you? Like, are they kind of in line with all of your key messages and everything like that? Are their kind of followers and those that are engaging with them, are they the right target audience for you? Are they sort of the right age? Are they located in the right place if you're a location specific brand? I think adding up all those things, and I think not just focusing on the follower number, because I think a lot of brands will look at someone and sort of say, oh, you've only got 10,000 followers, whereas this person's got 200,000, but actually the 200,000 followers might be based over the whole world and you might only ship to the UK. So the 10,000 followers are so much more relevant and are going to have so much more of a benefit to your business.
Yeah, interesting. It's I can imagine, and trying to sort of dissect their audience and figure out exactly who they are and get into kind of the nitty-gritty of that side of things can be quite interesting. And would they often, if you were approaching an influencer, presumably would they share details around their audience, what they know about them before they pull you over?
So we always ask for sort of it's a bit of a brand kit or an influencer kit. It used to be a media kit, and they would then kind of explain what their audience are. Previous ad examples as well, a lot of influencers will share. So for example, they work with X brand and these were the results and this is the impact from it. We always ask for that because it helps us determine whether they're right as well. A lot of influencers have agents as well who will have pulled that together for them. And then there's the negotiation of what kind of basis you're going to work on. Is it gifted? Is it paid? Is it what is it an ongoing partnership? How does that kind of work and how does that fit in with your brand and your budgets as well?
Interesting, amazing. And then last question for me is really whether you could tell us a little bit more about sort of the role that that your agency plays in helping brands create more of that kind of long-term relationships with their customers. I know that it's not just influencer marketing that you guys focus on, you've got other strings to your bow, but what's a lot of what we focus on at Pepped is more on sort of the retention and that LTV. So I'd love to dive into that side of things as well.
Yeah, of course. So I think, from the influencer point of view, it's very much finding those right influencers and not kind of just typing in sort of hashtag food blogger and picking the first 5 bloggers based on who's kind of showing the most because they've got the most likes on that particular post. It's looking at what they stand for. So if it's a vegan food and drink brand, we obviously want to work with a vegan influencer, for example, or if we know that someone has got a lactose allergy, we're not going to contact them and say, can we send you this product full of lactose? Like it's doing that background research, because as much as they would like to work with the brand needs to want to work with the influencer, and we need to kind of have that genuine synergy between the two. And then in terms of the long term, that is always kind of really beneficial. So you want to kind of work with those influencers who want to work with you in the long term, because their followers are loyal. Their followers, like I said, it's their friend on the internet, and they then know the brand they love. So there's influencers I follow and they use the same skincare brand every month, and then I then get influenced because I'm like, okay, they're using it month after month. And then when they're sharing content, sort of I work, and they'll put a note, sort of a disclosure, like I work with them, so I put ad, but this isn't part of an ad. Then I'm like, okay, this is it's a brand you really do use. And we'll also look if they've used it before as well. So if they've had that particular food or drink product or that particular skincare item or lipstick, and we know that they're a fan of it, that automatically kind of builds that connection. So we kind of work with people on a long-term basis as well. So not just for product launches, but how can we kind of have that ongoing and always on kind of approach, so that we're maximizing the opportunities for both parties and building that long-term relationship where everyone benefits from it.
Super, amazing. That's been really interesting to sort of at least scratch the surface of influencer marketing. By no means dived into it, but thank you, Megan. It's really interesting to hear what you've got to say about the sort of the topic, as it's a little bit different from what we do at Pepped, but also there's lots of overlap, I think, in terms of that engagement and retaining customers over the long run, and the sort of the authenticity is obviously a really big part of what you guys are doing as well.
Absolutely. Well, no, thank you so much for having me.
Great, no problem. See you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.